Welcome to the Daily Degenerate, the ultimate sports and entertainment podcast for your busy life. My name is Cohen Hughes, co-host and producer, and I'm joined by Los Angeles' very own Matty Goldberg. We appreciate you listening and hope you enjoy this episode.
Welcome, everybody, to Daily Degenerate Podcast number 39. I'm Matty Goldberg. We're on a Tuesday morning because the guy that I'm host with went to get some Korean barbecue with some buddies last night, so we decided to do it today. It's a lovely Tuesday morning in LA. I'll give it up to my co-host. Let him do his thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the 39th consecutive time, my name is Cohen Hughes. I am Podcast Poppy, the professional devil's advocate, the Johnny Sins of podcasting, and the Michael Rappaport of the South. Matty Goldberg, how the hell is it going?
How was your Thanksgiving?
It was pretty good. I got a shade below violently drunk and was just talking to my family the whole time, which was pretty fun.
Well, that's fun because I know I got drunk on some white wine myself.
Nice.
And I noticed you started, like, as the game was going on, the Falcons game, you were pretty much saying it was the worst team ever. This was the worst disgrace of sports you've ever seen. Mm-hmm. You were pretty ridiculous and absurd, but I guess the alcohol was talking there, and it was hard to watch your Falcons go down to the Saints.
Well, there were 3 turnovers inside the 15-yard line, and we only lost by 14 points.
Yeah, they blew the game themselves. So, I mean, you know, the Saints, from what I hear, like Nate Burleson was saying on the NFL show, to play a home game on Thanksgiving is tough because you're worrying so much about your family and getting Thanksgiving ready and all this other bullshit, and you got to play a football game, and the road team kind of has an advantage in that sense. And you kind of caught the Saints off guard a little.
Yep.
You played them toe-to-toe. You just kept fumbling at the goal line.
That's the thing. The ball was moving, and everyone was, it's just one of those things to where I'm not upset at how the defense played because we held Drew Brees to 177 passing yards, which, of course, he was playing a JV game at this point. I mean, I thought that they coasted, but Drew Brees hit 4 different undrafted receivers for touchdowns.
Well, Drew Brees does what he has to do. Him and Tom Brady, if they need 500 yards, they'll get 500 yards. They need 177 yards, they'll get 177 yards. Sometimes they like playing those games because they want to save the big bullets for later.
Yeah.
And they kind of coasted against the Falcons.
Of course.
Don't really know what else to say about that.
What about the early games? What did you feel about the early games?
Well,
Bears-Lions was shitty as hell. I didn't even want to watch that game, but I had to.
I enjoyed watching it. It's just like there's something about Matthew Stafford that, you're like, you want to think he's good in this, and then, he just does dumb fucking shit.
That's a very good point. The way I like to see it is he's very shiny, and he makes long passes. He throws the ball a lot. But
in some games he puts up huge numbers.
Yep. And then I really do feel like the subtraction of Golden Tate and the addition of a good running game has kind of
the pick
Matthew
6 was
Stafford's
brutal.
wings. Yeah, and it was, especially like not having a touchdown pass. That sucks.
Good quarterbacks just don't throw that pick 6.
Uh-huh.
So the Bears didn't have their best game. They had their backup quarterback.
Chase Daniel led them to a victory.
Yeah. The guy that you talked about the beginning of the season has made millions and millions of dollars, only throwing like 10 passes.
Yep.
Had a very mediocre game, but didn't turn the ball over.
Yep. Did what he had to do to get the Bears a win.
Yes.
So let me give you a stat.
Yes.
The Bears defense this year has more interceptions at 20 than they have allowed passing touchdowns, 19.
That's great.
Imagine having more picks than passing touchdowns allowed. What a fucking show.
There's something about the Bears. They always, get pick 6s. They always get defensive touchdowns, special teams touchdowns, and their defense just they're ball hawks. And it's kind of coming together. They're catching the Packers as they're folding. The Vikings haven't completely put it together.
Packers are dead in the water.
They are dead in the water. They just seem like lethargic against the Vikings.
They've given up on McCarthy, you think, the players?
Oh, absolutely. I want to say something about McCarthy. I thought it was disgraceful.
Get him.
Disgraceful.
Get him.
That the press has to ask a simple question. They have to say something like, "Are you worried about your job security?" That's not a bad question.
At all.
You're underachieving. You've been there for a long time. You haven't got it done the last few years. Coaches get that question all the time. And then he says, "You asked me that question when troops are dying? How disgraceful."
That's a dumb
It's
answer.
like,
Cop
fuck
out.
you, Mike McCarthy.
I know.
That's disgraceful to the troops. Don't bring the fucking troops in this.
To use them as a scapegoat to get out of your own question? Like, come on, guy.
Of course, man. It makes you look like an asshole.
It does. I don't like that. I didn't see that either.
Yeah, he
like
goes,
that.
the troops are dying. You asked me that question. Like, fuck you. This is entertainment.
That's
Don't
the
bring
same
troops
fucking
in here.
idiot that calls into Mike Francesca's show and said, "Hey, do you think Mother Teresa could coach the Knicks?"
No,
Oh,
those
I didn't know she had passed away.
No, those guys know what they're doing. That's the difference. Those guys know what they're doing. There's one. Did you hear the one where the guy goes, "Do you think the San Francisco Giants and New York Giants ever had dinner together?" And he gets
That's a good
all
question, though.
flustered.
That's a very good question because they're both Giants on opposite ends of the country.
Well, he's trying to. He doesn't get. He's getting fucked with. So he's like,
no, they're trying to get him riled up.
he's like, "Well, why would they do that?" And they're like, "Well, they're both Giants." And he's just sitting there like completely confused. It's probably the best one. You know, you think the Giants, but yeah, he's all done.
Yeah.
Dallas took care of business. Was kind of a sloppy game. You know, you got lucky. You got Colt McCoy, who I thought would play better.
Didn't play
had some
bad
moments.
per se, but he didn't do anything above a talent level that could propel them to win that game.
And there were some brutal calls in that game.
Yeah,
Just
there were.
brutal calls.
Mhm.
So the Redskins, I felt like I picked the Redskins, and they should have got the backdoor cover.
They
didn't
almost
cover
did. It
by
was a
half
point.
a point.
Yeah, it was a half a point off. I had a half a point
And
off.
then the thing is, too, is fucking Jordan Reed got drilled in the head, no penalty. The last drive would have put him in the, first and goal at the 5.
Yep.
Would have definitely covered there, but the refs missed a lot of calls. But it is what it is.
It is what it is, Matty. Thanks, John Madden.
Have you been day drinking? I feel like you've been
No.
day drinking.
No, I haven't had a single beer all day. Yeah, hell, it's only noon, so.
Well, you got to do what you got to do, right?
Yep.
You seem happy. Why are you so happy today?
I did drink an energy drink today, and you are so graceful to let me go out last night and not hound me about doing the podcast last night. So I do say I'm sorry for delaying it on short notice, and I do
No
thank
worries.
you for letting me go spend some time with my buddy who's in the military and moved to Seattle.
Yeah. And hey, he's in the military. You think Mike McCarthy respects him?
No, fuck no. He's trying to use him as a scapegoat to answer questions.
That was the dumbest shit I ever saw. Then we saw, this has got to be interesting. The Browns-Bengals is one of the most interesting games ever.
Are you going to talk about the
Fucking-
Hugh Jackson the pick ball that got handed to him?
Well, Marvin Lewis, he's such a loser. He brings Hugh Jackson on his staff. Hugh Jackson is the touch of death of losing. He is the absolute touch of death of losing.
You can
Why would
look and
would you have
see at the Browns now. I think that Greg Williams may be there are 30 teams in the NFL. He may be a bottom 5 head coach. But
he's already had a chance.
They're still finding ways to win because this roster that the Browns have is not bad anymore. They have
No, it's not
true
bad.
players. I'm not going to say it's good or great or whatever, but let's not make overreactions. But they're able to beat bad teams because their lineup is good, and now they have a head coach who doesn't inhibit progress.
I don't know what stopped, why Hugh Jackson was so bad. I wasn't in the locker room.
I saw an infographic since the head coaching change. I think Baker Mayfield his completion percentage is up about 10 or 12 points. His yards per attempt is up by about 2 or 3 yards, maybe more. I think it's like 4 even. And their last 10 trips to the red zone, touchdown every time. 10 for 10 in the red zone. No field goals, touchdowns every time.
That's pretty hot.
It is.
You can just see they wanted to win that game so freaking bad.
Yeah.
Like they just wanted to stick it in, Marvin Lewis's face and Hugh Jackson's face. They felt like what Hugh Jackson did was he gets fired and then he goes on TV and then he says like he was going to do this, he was going to get this guy, he was going to get this guy. And I think Baker Mayfield took it really personal.
He did. He took bad offense to it.
Yeah. So he's like, I want to Pat Mahomes. Well, of course,
you wanted fucking Pat Mahomes, dude.
Yeah, you don't second guess it. I mean, if you wanted him that bad, you guys would have taken him. I really believe that. Like, if you wanted him that bad, you would have taken him.
Or you would have traded for him after the fact.
So, if you get fired, you got to have a little class and just be like, look, there's a good roster. These are good men. They fought hard for me, and I appreciate it. But he kind of the team felt like he threw everybody under the bus. And, that was a game where they wanted to win and then stick it to them, and they did. And the Bengals are a mess. And it's just like, if you're a fan, you just want Marvin Lewis out of there. You want to change, and you just feel like you're never going to get it. Like, he's going to be back next year.
So, my next point is something that I kind of don't like, and I kind of, as an armchair coach, an armchair GM, an armchair analyst, whatever you want to call it, I saw some news bites. I think it's more than speculation, but it's less than a real report, kind of in the middle of the gray area in terms of what they're reporting on what might happen. The word on the street is that Marvin Lewis will be failing upwards, and he will go to the front office in Cincinnati, and Hugh Jackson will be the new head coach.
I mean, that's insane.
Yeah, so which brings me to my next point. I don't know.
Who would you rather have, Dan Quinn or Hugh Jackson?
I'm sorry, but Dan Quinn, and you know my feelings on Dan Quinn.
Yeah.
I really do think, and this is a problem in football more so than anything, which is embarrassing because it should be the exact opposite of this. But the rise of cronies and nepotism in terms of football coaches is almost getting to be embarrassing. How is Hugh Jackson even fuck what he does on the field? He's a terrible coach, whatever. The fact that he has thrown the Browns organization under the bus countless times when he worked for them and now after the fact shows that he's not a guy that I would want in my organization just from a culture standpoint. Fuck what he does on the field.
Well, the thing is,
how does he still continue to get employed in this league when he's shown that he is an embarrassment?
I mean, if you're a Bengals fan, how do you get excited that the guy that coached the Browns to one win in 2 seasons, and then he left, and then the team just looks like a real fucking team that's playing, that's dangerous now.
What's the Browns' records right now?
I think 4-6-1.
So is there a wild card? Because in the wild card,
oh yeah, they're not eliminated, but they have to win out and need help, but they're not eliminated. But realistically,
the
there's
AFC
spoilers.
wild card race is I'm not going to say open. That's a bad word to use, but the Steelers are competing for a wild card race at what 5-6-1.
No, the Steelers they lead the division.
Are you sure? I'm pretty sure they're a game behind the Ravens, my man.
No, you are completely wrong. Hold on, I'll give it to you right now.
Yeah, give it to me because I saw something.
You are lost, as they say to Mike Francesa when they try to.
Hey, do you think that Hugh Jackson could coach the Knicks?
Well, there you go. Hey, what do you think about Hugh Jackson coaching the Giants next year? The Pittsburgh Steelers are 7-3-1. The Ravens are 6-5. The Bengals are 5-6. The Browns are
maybe 4, I was thinking of the Bengals then.
The Colts have won 5 in a row, so they're hot. They're 6-5. The Chargers are 8-3, so they hold the first wild card spot. And then there's a dogfight between Baltimore, the Colts, and you got Denver in there. You got Tennessee hanging in there. You got Indy, and you got Baltimore, and I'll even throw Cincinnati and Cleveland in there.
Yep.
Hey, I'll even throw the Bills in there.
Nah, Cincinnati's done, man. Andy Dalton's out for the year. AJ Green may not come back if they lose the next game.
I think they're done, but
yeah.
I know Driscoll was playing in garbage time, but he looked halfway decent.
Yeah,
but,
he did.
Yeah, the Bengals are done.
Yeah,
for sure. They just keep getting worse and worse. And I just feel like there's a stench of Hugh Jackson on the sideline.
And even that whole culture of cronyism, like Hugh Jackson is Marvin Lewis's crony, like that is just so nepotist to me. That's the same reason. That's the same reason that Mark Richt's son, who's 26 years old and has not an ounce of coaching experience, is the quarterback coach at Miami.
Well, I always thought Kyle Shanahan was a joke, and then he became a pretty good coordinator, but I was like, it's only, he's only got these jobs because of his dad. Some guys do okay. Kurt Schottenheimer's a good offensive coordinator.
And Marty,
his dad was a coach for a long time, but yeah, there is a lot of nepotism for sure, I would say so, and coaching, and that's how it goes. And there's like nepotism in their own way with, there's nepotism in its own way with like Hugh Jackson getting a job through Marvin Lewis. Because
literally, dude, mid-season, doesn't that throw all decorum for coaching out the window? Just you were the head coach of one team during the season, get fired a week later, you're the DC for a rival team almost. Right?
Well, the Patriots did that. The Patriots, when Josh Daniels got fired, they hired him in the middle of the season or the end of the season to help coach. And then they brought him back as offensive coordinator. So
I can see the benefit of doing something like that. Like get him more acclimated for next season. Get an extra 3 or 4 weeks in a season to prepare for next year. Get the players kind of familiar. But this Marvin Lewis Hugh Jackson thing is honestly kind of astounding to me. Someone put it correct to me. They were like they're both just failing upward just because of nepotism.
Well, the thing about it too is like if you're a Bengal fan, how do you even like get excited? Like it's just like you've been in torture for years, and now it's like, what the fuck? This is like the lowest we've ever gotten. This is the lowest we've ever gotten.
And there were no highs, to be honest with you. Like Marvin Lewis hadn't won a playoff game in his 18-year stint.
Yeah.
Cincinnati, like Andy Dalton is one of your franchise pieces. Like AJ Green is your best player by far, and he's a great value brand. Julio Jones at this, like there was little reason to get excited beforehand, but if this isn't the dealing blow, I don't know what is.
Well, they started at 3-1 this season, so it looked like they beat your Falcons, which now as a Falcon fan, you got to look back and like, how the fuck do we lose this team? And
scored 37 points and lost.
Yeah. Well, it hasn't been a great season for you guys, but you could be a Bengals fan. The Bengals are becoming the new Browns for sure. And they won't win a game next year. If they have Hugh Jackson as the coach, they will not win many games next year.
No, because that offense is at its peak. It's slightly above mediocre for a whole season. Of course they have games where the Red Rifle goes off for 4 TDs, and fools us all. But as a whole, on a line of a season, that offense when it's running right is slightly above mediocre. And that defense may be hard-hitting, but they're undisciplined, and they're injury-prone. So the outlook for this team, I think you're absolutely correct. The outlook for this team is grim at best.
Their defense has become the worst defense in football.
Tampa Bay, but I understand.
No, Tampa Bay is not as worse as the Bengals. The Bengals have given up like.
Dude, Tampa Bay has like 10 sacks on the year as a team.
But they had a good year. They had a good game this week
against the 49ers. Yes, they did. Jason Pierre-Paul finally came out, and I think he had a sack and a half, maybe 2 sacks.
Yeah, he had a good game.
They had a pick. I know the Bucs needed that one so they wouldn't be on suicide watch.
Yeah, that was my best bet for the first early games that I hit it big.
Nice.
So what else are we talking about?
I don't know. We're kind of unstructured right now. Let's finish the NFL and then we'll move on to funny things.
Okay,
like the Dwight Howard stuff.
The Patriots beat the Jets.
Okay,
that's not a surprise.
Nope.
The Chargers beat the Cardinals. Not a surprise.
So Phillip Rivers, if you didn't see, started this game 25 for 25. Ended up being 27 for 28.
He's
broke
just
the record
a gunslinger.
For completion percentage over 10 attempts.
We're gonna really miss him when he retires. He's just awesome.
Like he's a great personality too. I love Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, he's fun to watch. He's a trash talker, but he doesn't curse. He's got a lot of kids. He's a gunslinger. His team always usually sucks. He's amazing at backdoor covers. He's just a fun guy in the NFL, and it'll be a shame when he's gone.
Isn't it funny to see, because he grew up in Alabama, isn't it funny to see that hillbilly like playing in L.A.? And L.A. just embraces him.
Well, let me tell you something about the Chargers. They don't have a fan base. They're like the one team without fans. Like they have
because they
so
move
few
so much.
fans.
They've moved
Yeah,
from LA to St. Louis and then back from St. Louis to LA. Like
No, they never were in St. Louis. That was the Rams.
Fuck, my bad.
Yeah, you got it. It's okay.
San Diego. Yeah.
San Diego turned on them. So all their fans that they had from San Diego isn't going to support them because they hate the owner so much for fucking abandoning them. And then like LA's like, well, we just got the Rams. Why do we care about the Chargers? So there's not a lot of
It's like
Chargers
a Lakers-Clippers thing.
Yeah, there's certainly not a lot of Chargers fans.
Mm-hmm. But Phillip Rivers balled out the other day. That was very good for him to see. 28 for 29, 259, 3 tutties. Started out 25 for 25. Just what an absolute monster. Yeah.
So that was a game. Then the big game was Russell Wilson out-dueled Cam Newton in a great, exciting game. McCaffrey's become one of the best players. He's on my fantasy team in one of our leagues.
He's excellent.
Put up a monster game. He's just becoming a beast. His second year, he's finally like turning into the guy that everybody thought he could be. And
even later on, like in this year, he's shown that he's not just a pass catching back. Like he had 17 carries for 125 last week. So he's starting to actually get the ball, make good cuts, hit the holes. He's molding himself into a very, 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 very good NFL running back as a whole.
Yeah, he's becoming a superstar for sure.
Yep.
So he had a monster game, even though they lost. And Russell Wilson's basically like a one-man team.
He's a wizard. He can keep his team, and like me and you have both said on this podcast 39 other times, Russell Wilson, when he plays in a game, it doesn't matter who's playing with him, he can keep his team in it.
And he is his team.
Yep.
Like, you know, Mike Davis is coming up. Who's the guy, the receiver that's been
DJ Moore?
Yeah, he's been awesome, but I never even heard of this guy.
Nope.
And he's turning this guy into a star, and you know, Russell Wilson's just like carrying that team.
He does this every year.
Be horrible.
Last year it was Paul Richardson.
Yep.
You know, like he finds one guy and just targets the hell out of him. He did it with Jermaine Kearse. You know, like he's done it with everybody. Mm-hmm, exactly.
And then they go other places, and you never hear about him.
Yep, you never hear about him again.
Yeah.
Bet you couldn't tell me who Paul Richardson plays for, because I couldn't.
No, I can.
Who is
he? Got hurt. The Redskins.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I did.
He's out for the year, though.
Mm.
But he had a few big catches, but he's not who he was when he was on the Seahawks.
Not when Russell Wilson's not throwing to him, he's neutralized.
You know it.
Ravens. Did you like what you saw from Lamar Jackson?
He's getting better, but he's got ways to go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're still playing the Raiders.
Yep.
But, you know, he's getting there for sure.
What I do like is he didn't – the Ravens are being pretty delicate. And I know it sounds weird to see him running so much, using the word delicate, but they're making easy plays for him. All the throws that he's making, they're pretty wide open.
They're giving him easy chances to get
his runs are pretty easy in terms of the read, and I really feel like he's not making the best throws. He's not doing things that make you want to say, "Oh wow, whoa, look at that play," but he's adjusting well to the pace and speed of this NFL game, and I really do like what I'm seeing from Lamar Jackson.
Absolutely, I agree, but he's going to get killed if he runs that much.
Oh yeah.
He ran for 22 times 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're giving him easy passes. They're kind of breaking him in easily. I'm sure he's the future, and I think they'll probably go with him next year. And I think Joe Flacco will go somewhere else, like the Jaguars or somewhere like that. And
I could see Flacco
get a fresh start.
Just hanging him up.
What's up?
I could see Joe Flacco just hanging the cleats up and just.
Yeah, he might hang it up too. He got his one big contract, and he might just be like go off into the sunset.
Yep.
He's had a lot of big hits. He's had a lot of injuries lately.
The one last
but man, he had a good career. He had a really good.
Career. Oh yeah. He has a ring. He was Super Bowl MVP in that game, right?
Yeah, he had to have been.
Yeah, he had to have been because he had a hot ass playoffs that year.
Yeah, he did.
And
he beat Brady and Manning in that playoff.
He's never had a super embarrassing season, kind of like Peyton has had sometimes. We're like, damn, like you lost it. That Super Bowl run, you could tell the defense was carrying him. Joe Flacco, he at least has been there.
Well, I wouldn't say the defense carried him. I mean, the Broncos game was a high scoring game. he had to have that big bomb,
Yep.
that miracle bomb to win, and then he had to put up a lot of points against the Patriots. The defense was great against the Patriots for sure, though.
Yeah, it was. Whenever we're moving down, one game that I really just didn't like to watch was the Broncos beating the Steelers. Big Ben throws the worst pick in the world to lose the game.
You must have the over on that, because
I did.
I had the under, and it was that touchdown tied it.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously,
and I knew Tomlin would have went for 2 to win that game. I know he would have.
Wow. So the over under would have been 1 on the 2-point conversion. That would have been fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the Steelers were kind of due for a loss. They didn't play well against the Jaguars, and they were lucky to win that game.
Very lucky.
And then this was another game that you thought, like, oh, of course they're going to pull it out.
Yep.
I mean, the big play was he threw a ball to a tight end guy I never heard of. He fumbles on the goal line. That crazy, like, through the pylon fumble.
Yep.
And that was it, pretty much.
Mm.
That fucked him over and kind of put him on
forced
8 ball.
4 turnovers.
Broncos are really starting to click. They're really starting to click, and they have an easy schedule.
But your early prophecy in the year kind of came true. Yeah, they'll start out 3-0, 3-1, and then they'll regress to the mean for the rest of the season.
Well, yes and no, because they're getting better, actually.
They're still 5-6, though.
They've won 2 in a row. Granted, they got lucky. San Diego blew the clock.
They did.
One of the worst clock management ever. But they've won their last 2, and their fans are excited.
Mm-hmm, they are.
So any other games that we missed?
Dolphins, Colts, Vinatieri.
That was
Vinatieri.
Andrew Luck, just awesome.
Dude, he's been great.
Yeah. We didn't know how good he was going to come back.
No, we didn't. I was really skeptical. Not saying that I was doubtful, but I was skeptical. Andrew Luck has weighed on him to get an elite receiver or an elite running back, and the Colts could be really, really good.
I love Frank Reich too.
Me too.
I mean, I'm old enough to go back to, you weren't even alive, but I was old enough to watch one of the greatest comeback of football history. And he's down 31-0, quarterback for the Bills in the playoffs. Imagine losing a 31-0 game there.
Yeah, that would. God.
Has your Falcons ever blew a big lead before?
I don't think so. Not that I can remember, at least.
Just taking a shot.
The thing is, I really do want to root for Frank Reich, though, because of the way that the McDaniels thing happened. I don't necessarily blame McDaniels for recanting his offer, because he has the keys to the castle whenever Belichick leaves.
Yep.
Unless Robert Kraft just loves Bill O'Brien that much that he wants to bring him back in, but I doubt that. I really do want Frank Reich to succeed because of how he inherited this job.
Yeah, I mean, he did great for Philadelphia. He's a hard-working guy.
Mm-hmm.
He deserved the head coaching job. I like when he went for a win. Like he went for a 4th and 2 in overtime when he could have tied the game. And he goes, "We don't play for ties."
We don't.
That was fucking awesome. That showed, like, I like that guy.
Yep.
And now he's getting his wins. Andrew Luck seems to be back. And it's scary because the Colts are back. It's like, as long as Andrew Luck's there, they're going to be good. And
the Colts have won 5 straight? 4 straight?
Yeah, they were 1-5, and now they're 1-6, and now they're 5-6, which is pretty amazing. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Their comeback.
Mm-hmm. So our last 2 games, Packers, Vikings. Packers just looked uninspired. We already talked about that. Kirk Cousins had a pretty decent game.
He did.
The only thing that Kirk Cousins, and I'm kind of because I'm a Kirk Cousins guy. I've kind of cooled off on him the past few weeks because this year he's second in the NFL in turnovers.
Sure.
And there's more fumbles than picks. Mm-hmm. So they're definitely preventable. Kirk Cousins had a good game Sunday night, 29 for 38, 342 with 3 TDs. Thielen, of course, went off again. The Packers, like we said earlier, I think they're done in the water. They're 0-6 away from.
They're just uninspired
away
football.
From Green Bay.
You just feel like nobody's playing for Mike McCarthy, and once Aaron Rodgers quits, the team is quit. Because there's times that they've sucked, and then Aaron Rodgers goes on a crazy run, but now he doesn't even give a fuck. Like, he's just like, I'm done.
This is his way of saying, okay, it's time to bring somebody else in.
Yeah, and it's just like I'm tired of like carrying this team on my back.
And I feel like Rodgers is low maintenance in that regard, that he doesn't care who you bring in, or he doesn't like he even will still play for Mike McCarthy, but he just at this point he just wants somebody else in a fresh look. You know.
Well, it's also he's been injured a lot. He's just drained, and he's like, all right, let's start over. Bring in a new guy. Let's start over.
I agree, 100%. Good call. Titans-Texans last night. What'd you think?
Well, it's like Watson's got that same thing that Andrew Luck has. You know, it's like as long as Watson's on the team, they're going to be really good. Mm-hmm. You know, they're going to win a lot of games because he's a gamer. He's a winner. Stealing Demaryius Thomas was awesome. He had a big game. Helps everything out. I mean, 2 big-time receivers. Their defense played well. They started slow, but then they just took over the game, and, you know, they've won 8 in a row. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Now,
it'll be fun when they play the Colts the last time.
I tried to tell you guys that Bill O'Brien is my man.
Well, it just shows when you get a quarterback what you can do.
Yep.
When you get a quarterback, that's why Mike McCarthy sucks so bad, because he has a quarterback.
And he can't utilize it at all.
Yeah.
The one thing that did surprise me about this game last night, I had to watch it on my phone at the Korean barbecue place because, of course, they're not going to play it. They were playing damn K-pop and all the music videos in Korea.
They'll play the fucking game.
They weren't playing the game. I had to watch it on my phone.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I swear, the Koreans, dude. There were more big plays in this game on both sides. Texans had a few more, but there were more big plays during this game than I thought there would be. And Lamar Miller actually ran for a 97-yard touchdown, the longest play in the NFL since 2014.
Yeah, it was quite a run. I had the over, too. I hit it.
And it was Lamar Miller who had that run in 2014 as well.
On what team?
Dolphins, I want to say.
All right.
He was playing for the Dolphins. I don't know who was against, but this game last night had a few big plays. It was pretty entertaining. It wasn't that great for a Monday night game. I would have loved for this to be like a Sunday night or a Thursday night game.
Yeah.
But I have really no complaints about that game last night.
I have no complaints either. I mean, the Texans took care of business. There were some good moments. And then, you know, the second half, the game kind of got boring because they just led and they just started, you know, sitting on the ball and taking time off the clock. And it was just like, oh, they dominated. They dominated the game.
They did.
They took care of business. They dominated. And, I mean, they're a force, and they're going to be very interesting in the playoffs.
They will.
You know, we'll see how good Deshaun Watson is in the postseason. And he's just got a great temperament. He beat Alabama in college, which is pretty amazing.
One of the few.
So we will see what he's got. I mean, we'll also see it'll be great when the Colts play. I don't know when they play each other again, but that's going to be a big-time game.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to mark that one down. I think it's week, 16? Week before the last week of the season?
Yeah, I don't know. I got to look. Should we go in?
Let's go into some college. That way we can talk about the Dwight Howard thing and all the social things that have been going on later.
I'll do 5 minutes real quick on college. Fucking, wasn't Mike Leach our man?
Dude, I was so heartbroken.
You know what happened? They're an offensive team that needs like to spread it out and do their thing.
The
and
weather
then it snows and rains.
The weather did not. It was brutal.
The weather was perfect for Washington because they run the ball and they're a power team that runs the ball, and it's just the wrong thing for Washington State because they're such.
You
a
need that air attack
team
for Washington State to win. Jake Browning for Washington only threw the ball 14 times, completed 11 passes. So
it's all about Gaskin, the running back of Washington. He was great. So it wasn't a year for Mike Leach. The big game, Michigan got fucking smashed.
Yep.
Which was shocking.
I was rooting for Big Blue.
I mean, to lose is to lose, but to lose the way they lost was fucking humiliating. Because everybody's like, this is the year they're finally going to beat Ohio State. This is their year. And they got fucking smoked. Destroyed. Like, beat down. And they would have made it in. They had it all set. So it's back to the drawing board.
They were already at 4. Keep winning. You would have gotten in.
Yep. All you had to do is beat Northwestern, which they already beat. I mean, Northwestern's a tough team, but they're very beatable.
What, but it's a team you should squeak out in the end.
Exactly. I mean, I think Ohio State will have a little trouble with them and then pull away in the third, fourth quarter, and you know, I think Northwestern will keep it close for a half. So we got that.
What about Georgia Tech? I didn't get to watch any of this game. I was at work, but it seems like Georgia handled them pretty handedly.
Georgia took care of business. There was nothing. It was just like a beatdown, nothing
38
close.
points in the first half.
And it's kind of like getting them prepared for like Alabama. Like I think they're going to give Alabama a hell of a fucking game.
You think so?
I think it's going to be close. Yes.
I don't know. I just don't know.
I also think like Alabama's struggling a little. Like they're struggling a little more. They're kind of like limping to the finish line. I mean, they are the best team by far, but they're kind of unless they're like resting up for this game, and then they're just going to turn it on again.
You never know with Nick Saban. It's 1 year he'll do some shit like that, and then the next year he'll pull out all the stops and throw Tua for the whole game. It's Nick Saban. He's hard to trace and actually strategically what he does.
Yeah. Shit. Yeah. So I think that's going to be a good game. I'm going to say it's going to be a close game.
Okay. What about Oklahoma, West Virginia, 59-56? I really thought West Virginia should have won this game. Will Greer had a great game.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see West Virginia win that game because it was such a shootout.
Yeah, I mean, I love Dana Holgorsen. I love watching him. I love his antics. He
needs to get a new fucking hairpiece though, because his shit is.
I love that shit. God, I love that. That is fucking.
And wears a visor too. Wears a visor. Dude. Oh my god, what a grind!
Dude, it's straight out of King. It's straight out of Kingpin. Have you ever seen Kingpin?
No, it's the bowling movie, right?
Yeah. So Bill Murray, his hair keeps like getting fucked up as the movie keeps going on, and he looks exactly like that. It's funny as shit, man. Great movie, and his hair looks exactly like that. The more he bowls, and I love Dana Holgorsen. Tough loss. He got a terrible call against him on a bullshit where a guy blocked the guy out of bounds on a long run that kind of changed the game.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that sucked.
And that game was just crazy. There was no defense. The spread was 88. They fucking destroyed that spread easily. I mean, Oklahoma has no defense, but I think they're going to get in. I think they're going to kill Texas. Texas has not played well.
No, they haven't.
There's a lot of Tom Herman weird shit going down. So I think Oklahoma wins. I think Washington beats Utah. I think Alabama beats Georgia, but a very, very close game. And Ohio State beats Northwestern. And I think that's it for the chance. There's besides Alabama, Georgia, there's not really that marquee matchup that everybody's going to just go crazy over.
Who does Notre Dame play next week?
They don't. They're in.
Oh, shit.
They're an independent team. They're not in a conference.
Oh, yeah. It's them, Army, and somebody else is that way.
Yeah.
God almighty. Damn, that's clutch for them then.
Yeah, so they're in.
Wow.
They are in.
Damn, so another right call by the Daily Degenerate Podcast. We said that they would win out and get in week 6.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's not that. I mean, their schedule wasn't that hard.
No, that's kind of what we said. Like they had a pretty favorable. It was not easy in college.
You
football.
can always
Nothing's
get
easy,
knocked off.
Favorable, you know.
You can always get knocked off.
They didn't beat USC convincingly, but hey, that's not what we're here for. We're here to win and repeat.
Exactly. I mean, you're also like you're looking forward too, so you're playing a different way.
Yep.
So should we get into the Dwight Howard stuff? I don't even know what to say. I don't even really understand
let's talk about
it. You know better.
Texas A&M game.
7
so overtimes.
I did not see it because it's on the SEC network, which for me is on my TV somewhere but far away.
Yep.
And there were just so many games going on, and I just kind of lost track of that game. But Jesus Christ.
I was actually watching the fight, the Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz fight at a buddy's house. I've actually been more into getting into watching fights lately. So last I checked, I was watching the game on my phone on the way to my buddy's house, who lives about 10 minutes from here. And I see the LSU guys throw Gatorade on Ed Orgeron. Minute 21 to left. Whatever. So
you
I'm
never
like,
do that.
Turn it off. Yeah. Next thing I know, it's about an hour later, 45 minutes later, and I'm like, hey, what ended up being the final score to that LSU game?
And it's still on.
Everyone's like, dude, it's still on. It was like 5 overtimes. I was like, holy shit, are you serious? Check the score. Yeah. It was like 68-65 or whatever. I was like, holy shit.
That's how it goes sometimes, brother.
Mm-hmm. The referees really bailed Texas A&M out on that holding call in the end zone on the 2-point conversion. Texas A&M Kellen Mond ended up scoring on a 3rd and 14 in the 7th overtime, converted the 2-point conversion after a penalty, erased an incomplete pass to send it to 8 overtimes.
Unbelievable.
I really think the powers that be just wanted that one to end.
Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't see any of the calls. I got to see the highlights, but the refs can change things up for sure. They certainly can.
But honestly, for the most part, no one seems, at least this year in particular, no one really seems to have any huge gripes about the refereeing in terms of the broad sense of college football this year. It's more attention seems to go to the NFL in terms of bad refereeing.
Yeah.
All right, so I think that's it on our college football thing. I don't think there was any more good games on. BYU and Utah, the Mormon Bowl was close.
Did not watch it.
I didn't either. So let's get into this Dwight Howard situation. So I'll keep it 2 minutes. Just kind of explain to the listeners who don't know or don't care or whatever.
Oh, everybody cares.
Yeah. So apparently, for the past few years, and I'm sure I'll embellish or mess up on some of the finer details, but the sentiment is the same. Apparently, for the past few years, Dwight Howard has been a sexual deviant in the sense that he is into transgenders and cross-dressers.
Okay.
He had been seen.
That doesn't make him a sexual deviant, though. It just makes that's what he's into.
He weird kinks.
Okay.
So
fair enough.
Apparently, there was this one. I don't know how to say the last name or the Twitter name or whatever. But Mason somebody. He's been seeing this transgender man or woman, whatever you want to call it, for the past few years. Met at Wild 'N Out, the rap TV show. He reached out to him, whatever, and they've exchanged nude pictures. They've had sex. They've done everything. They've been seen out in public together. Yada yada yada. Apparently, Dwight Howard lately, in an effort to not be outed as a man who partakes in transgender sex, has been threatening this Mason guy into keeping his mouth shut and have threatened to kill him. So in retaliation to this, the guy went on Twitter and just straight ousted Dwight Howard.
It was a guy.
The way I see it, it's a cross-dressing male.
Okay. So now he's been outed as he likes transgenders, and we can all move on, right? Or is it?
Apparently, this is not a one-time thing. Apparently, he goes to these parties. Because, like Atlanta, there's a huge...
There's everywhere, dude. It's every city.
Atlanta is bad about it, though. We have a really high HIV rate because of the gay community here. Not to be offensive or anything. It's just a fact.
Okay.
Apparently, he goes to parties, orgies, where there's mostly transgender people there. And the biggest blow of the night was when this guy called Dwight Howard out for being not the person who is the top in the sexual act, but is the bottom. Okay. Apparently, Dwight Howard has been taking it in the butt, for lack of a better term. And there have been several instances in his career and this year where he missed 4 games due to a buttocks injury.
Okay.
The only thing that makes this a story is if it was a glute injury, don't you think they would say glute? Don't you think that would be more specific? But it's literally been disclosed to ESPN and other outlets as a buttocks injury.
That's
just funny to me.
I don't know. I just don't know. I never heard anybody get their butt hurt.
Me neither.
I don't know. I mean, I think if it was something to do with that, they would say it was something else. Don't you think they would lie for him? If you want to keep it secret,
Definitely.
You would say I have a wrist injury or Definitely. I have a sprained ankle. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't be like, oh, my buttocks are sore.
Wouldn't you say glute? Wouldn't you use the more
I don't know. It's such a bizarre thing.
It is.
We're going to hear more about athletes getting, people calling them out and shit. And we're all kinky, weird freakos.
Oh, of course. I'm not judging his things, but it's just a sketchy.
Don't threaten to kill them. But,
Dwight Howard's personal, he calls him a mentor. He's like a pastor, like a church in Atlanta.
Yeah.
He's even been on, he called him like excuse my French, but a cross-dressing faggot and a faggot in a wig. He's like trying to pressure this guy into not ousting Dwight Howard, and it blew back up in his face because now they have proof of this stuff being said.
Well, I mean, it is what it is, as they say. I said that twice. It is what it is. I really don't have a comment for it.
Me neither. I'm not one to judge because, like you said, we're all fucking kinky freaks and we're all sexual deviants in our own way, and we're all degenerates.
Where does he play now? Dwight Howard. I don't even know where
Washington,
he plays.
The Wizards.
It's such a shame because I grew up with Shaquille O'Neal, and Shaq just dominated the game, and we all thought like Dwight Howard would dominate like Shaq did, and he really didn't.
He has the body type, and he did it in Orlando, and he can on command, but it just takes a lot to get. He's like a diesel engine. Once you get him going, he's one of the better players in the game. He can take over a game with his physicality, his athleticism, rebounding, blocks, dunks, all that kind of stuff. But he's hard. I just think the
game has changed too. That the big man is.
We're slowly phasing people like that out.
Yeah.
Running small ball and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't think the big man is as important as he once was. Well, it's an interesting story. Interesting for Atlanta too. I really don't know what else to say.
Me neither. It's just the only reason we bring it up is just because it's so weird.
It is bizarre.
Lack of tangible details that we have, the speculation there's a lot of room for speculation and what actually happened in this one. So it's just an odd story.
Well, it's also a story that's for athletes is going to scare them because people are now going to come out on Twitter. Yeah. Like they're going to start, you poke the bear, like you have a lot to protect. Twitter's going to get really weird.
Yep.
This is just the beginning.
That's kind of why I don't have a Twitter, because that's a weapon for dummies to me. Like there's just so much BS and media speculation, and I'm not judging you if you have a Twitter, but I was addicted to Twitter at a point. It's better if I just don't have one. Look at the crazy shit that I say on Facebook. I fire Dan Quinn every day. Like imagine if I had Twitter.
Yeah, you might say something stupid. We all say dumb shit though. I'm gonna wrap things up. I'm gonna do the next show on the East Coast. I'll be in Atlantic City doing comedy Thursday, Friday night, Saturday in Fairfield, Connecticut. So I'll be doing it from AC and New Jersey, which has legal gambling. So I'll be at a casino doing comedy and then betting on games, and I'll have my computer. We'll do the podcast from there.
Nice.
So follow me on Instagram at Matty Goldberg, Twitter at Matty Goldberg1, that evil Twitter, where I put up my opinions that hopefully won't destroy the world.
Please.
And Mr. Michael Rapport of the South, take it over. I gotta run. I love you, and just let me know when this goes up. And peace out, everybody, and stay warm.
Matty Goldberg, we love you. We appreciate you, and you're the best. Ladies and gentlemen, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram to search Cohen Hughes. I'm on Reddit. I'm on Snapchat. I spend most of my time on Reddit, but doesn't matter. You guys don't care what I have to say. This has been episode 39 of the Daily Degenerate Podcast. We sincerely and humbly hope you enjoyed this episode. Thanks for listening.